Hello there, and welcome to my first sketchbook tour. I'm not entirely sure who this is for. I just wanted to film one because I've been really excited about my art lately, and I just wanted to show it off. And I thought perhaps this could be useful for other beginner artists to see how my journey has been going and how I've been really finding my style. So I just really wanted to show off my art. If you don't know me, which you probably don't, my name's Amelie. I'm an artist, and if you want to see some of my work, my Instagram is in the description, and let's go. Okay, so this is the sketchbook I've been using for a few months now. I think I got it in about April. It's the brand that I have found most reliable. I really like the quality of the paper and all of that. And one weirdly specific reason why I like it is that the cover is really easy to draw on with acrylic paint pen, so I found that really fun, just decorating the cover. This was meant to be me recreating that beautiful Stolas song scene in the second episode of Hell of a Boss, and I wrote all the lyrics on the back here. And so let's open it up and begin the tour. So this was actually the drawing that got me started with my new art style and this sort of art journey I've been on. This was a attempt of mine to draw myself in the art style of Lewis Hancock's, who is one of my favourite comic artists, and before this I'd been in a real rut with my art. I found aspects of it to be very frustrating, and I felt that it was more so what I wanted my art to look like as opposed to what I actually enjoyed about drawing. And so I drew this in purposely trying to replicate his style, and I thought, this is fun. I really like drawing like this. Let's do some more of that. And so this was me attempting to draw a comic in that style. This was something I posted on my Instagram. It was about the experience I had of a YouTube animator who I had really enjoyed when I was younger turning into a super conservative Christian, and how bummed out that was. But yes, this exercise just allowed me to see how I felt about the style and see what I liked about it, and it was really encouraging and really encouraged me to keep going. This is the start of one of my favourite obsessions. So I was brainstorming the idea for a kids book because I was really excited about the idea of writing a kids book, because I was looking at videos by Paul Castle and all the stuff he'd made. And so I came up with the idea for a little autistic kitten, and her name is Twinkle, and she's different from other kittens. She doesn't fit in, but she ends up finding a separate autistic kitten who they get along, and it's amazing. And this may or may not be autobiographical, maybe inspired by me and my best friend, but so there's actually not a lot of this in the sketchbook, mostly because I enjoy doing the drawings of these cats on my iPad, and I don't post them mostly because they're between me and my best friend. It's mostly just things I message to her, so there's not a lot of that. But so this is an obsession of mine, but it's not in the sketchbook marks, so that's why. This, I wish I could cover this up. This was me thinking, I can't hate my old art style that much. This must just be a blip. I'll go back to it. I don't even know what I was trying to draw, but I just know that I hate it, and I was like, yep, this new style, oh, I'll just hit the microphone. This new style is it. So I was trying to draw more of this. These are some characters I have. This is Anne and Natalie. I was trying to do some drawings of them, once again just figuring out how I felt with this style. And this was when I figured out this little thing marking, I'm not really sure what to call it, in the ear, and I was like, okay, this is fun, I like this, how do we keep going from here? So I did some more drawings of some more characters. This is another OC I have, her name is Edith. I have a lot of OCs, so be prepared to remember a lot of names. I drew her in two separate Halloween costumes. This is as Juliet from Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, and this is sorry, just blanked. And this is her as Bridget Jones's Tarts and Vickers outfit. And then this was me attempting to draw Natalie, this character, dressed up as Hedwig from Hedwig and the Angry Inch, but I just couldn't get the hair right, so I just decided to not continue with that one. And then this is some more Anne's and Natalie. There's and more Halloween costumes. This is Anne dressed up as Taylor Swift from the You Belong With Me video, and this is Natalie dressed up as the album cover for Helena by My Chemical Romance, I believe. I don't know that much about My Chemical Romance, I just know that they wear these sorts of outfits. And so I wanted to draw this character more, so I was looking up more ideas of punk outfits on Pinterest and having a lot of fun with the eyes, and this was me really figuring out how I wanted to draw noses, eyes, ears. You can see it's experimenting a lot with these very blocky limbs, which I haven't stuck with. I've evolved with that, so yeah, you'll get to see that throughout this. And this was me drawing Edith again, and I was looking on Pinterest for outfits that fit her vibe, and this was actually a result of, I looked up jeans with lace and I found these really cool lace-up jeans, which was not my original intention, but they look really cool and I like this. And then this is Drew, another one of my characters. He's holding a kitty. The kitty does not look happy to be held. And this is my first attempt drawing a guy in my style, because I mostly just draw the Goyles. I draw them a lot. So that was me trying to draw a guy. He's cute and I like him. The cat and the boy. And this was me drawing Anne again, just a lot of Anne and Edith, a lot of studies of characters. I wanted to see, how do these characters who have existed in my mind for a long time, how do they translate to this style, and how do I feel about them in this style? And the answer is, I like them. I like them a lot. And I don't like this, we'll get onto this. This was me drawing another guy character I have. This was very low effort. This was when I was on holiday and it was 30 plus degrees with no air conditioning, and so I was very grumpy whilst drawing this, and I don't know whether that comes across. So I had just watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and I thought, because I had this older Jesus design, yes, I made an OC of Jesus, Leave Me Alone. I had wanted to see what would he look like if he was in Hazbin Hotel, and the K-pop Demon Hunters brainworms invaded, and I decided, let's draw him like he's a K-pop star. So I came up with this outfit, which is very K-pop coded, and I'm not going to say sorry, so we'll move on. And more K-pop Demon Hunters. This was the scene between Rumi and Celine, spoilers, but I made it as if it was Jesus and God. And this was my fallen angel Jesus design. I don't like it, but I do like the tail that has the thorns, so it's like the crown of thorns. And then, so I was very bored on this holiday. I didn't have a lot to do, and what I ended up doing, I wrote a story about 3 teenagers, and they're dead. They're dead, and they're exploring the afterlife. And so I came up with some characters, and even when I write a story, I find I really like to draw the characters, so I just have a sense of their vibe. And so I drew the main characters, Rosemary and Harper, and this was once again me figuring out what I wanted to do with this art style, like, how do I draw things all zoomed out? How do I draw side profiles? And I really like these spreads because I'm just really excited about the fact that you can so obviously tell what these characters' deals are just by looking at how they emote, and that's why I really liked. This was me trying to figure out whether I wanted this character, Harper, to have round eyes, or what I like to call the Mr. Peanut Butter eyes. If you've ever seen BoJack Horseman, you'll know he has these eyes that look kind of squashed. So I tried those out. I didn't like them, so I went with this. And yeah, so you can see I'm really getting to grips with the art style and figuring out what I like about it. And then this is the third. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. This is the third main character, Antonio. This was one of my favourite expressions I think I've ever drawn, just because I think it can conveys so much with so little. This was me trying to draw Harper and Rosemary kissing. I don't draw characters kissing very much. We're moving on, I don't like it. And then this was because I'd figured out that I knew Rosemary was into musical theatre when she was younger, so I drew her singing Matilda the musical and Harper fawning all over her. And I don't know whether you can see, I don't know whether the lighting is good enough. This is when I discovered that pencil transfers over so much when I draw in this thing, because when I drew this and drew on top of that, I discovered graphite. So moving forward, you're not going to see a lot of these coloured in or shaded, just because I like to avoid that as much as possible, because I think it makes it look very muddy and gross. And then this was my girls, happy and in love. I love this one. This was my first time with this new art style, really experimenting with posing and like what sort of dynamic poses could I do, and I really discovered how much I enjoyed posing and how much just circles and lines can really convey a character. And this is me drawing them all together. I love them. This is two mums and their grumpy teenage son. Oh. Toby? I'll cut this out later. Okay, I'm just gonna have to continue. If you hear a dog barking in the background, that is my arsehole dog, Toby. That's what that is. Is he done? Yes, he's done. So, yes, my little family, I love them. They're so cute. I love these facial expressions. And this is me drawing Rosemary singing again. She's singing Les Mis, and I love the way her hair turned out in this spread. And then I drew Harper being struck by the love arrow, and Antonio finding it kind of gross, because they're like his mother figures, so he finds this weird. I love them. I love my little family. This is, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll recognise this as my profile picture. This was me the first time I ever drew myself, because with my old persona, in my old art style, I had a very specific way of drawing the hair that I'll probably put a picture of it up now, but I knew that it wouldn't translate into this new art style because it was very anime coded. So I tried to figure out what would my hair look like in this style, and this is kind of lame, but I used my Snap Sona on Snapchat. I deleted the app, so I don't have it anymore, but I looked at the way that hairstyle looked in Snapchat and just drew it, and this looks so much like me, it's actually ridiculous. And I was very happy with that because the first time my persona really looks a lot like me. It hasn't done that in previous eras of my art. So that was me drawing this again, some more Rosemary and Harper. I just didn't know what to draw this day, so I did expressions. I was still on holiday, and there were a lot of days where it was, okay, I don't know what to do today, so I'm just gonna draw. This was on the ferry back from France. I had just finished binge reading all of Cast Off by the Starfish Face, which I was obsessed with. I love the story, I love the art, so I tried taking one of my old D&D characters, Thalia, and trying to draw her as if she was in Cast Off, and this was also me trying to draw her in the new art style. I like this skirt, but overall I'm not super enthused with this design, but it's alright, it's okay. And then that got me thinking about Dungeons & Dragons, and so I thought, I want to make a new character. And so I wrote down some attributes, and I rolled the dice, and I ended up with Changeling, Entertainer, Bard. And this was me brainstorming the design. I had this idea in my head of a very fey, elvish looking character, very androgynous, so I was trying to figure out how I wanted the hair to look. Once I kind of did this little ponytail, I was like, that's it, this is the one, I like this, and then it's just all downhill from here. And their name is Nilin. I really like this character, and then again, this was me figuring out their design. I had a bit of trouble with the outfit because I couldn't figure out whether I wanted the cloak to go all the way down, or I was figuring out what do I want the trouser silhouette to look like, their back silhouette, and this is what I ended up with. This is the final design, and I really like this, and because I love elves and tieflings, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted them to look like. So I thought, why not both? That's the fun of changelings. You can make them look like whatever you want. And then this is me trying to draw like an alternative form, I guess you could say, of Nilin. So I was like, what would they look like if they transformed into someone else? Because they're a changeling, they can do that. They're a shapeshifter. And yes, this is a little girl design I ended up coming up with. She's cute, I like that. And I found it very funny just how much the clothes shrank when I proportioned it. And that was part of the fun of this design, just putting this little girl in very, very large clothing. This is more Nilin backstory brainstorming. This is their elf mother who abandoned them. Yeah, not great, but she is pretty and fun to draw. Then this is Nilin as a baby. I kind of imagined that as a child they didn't really know how to control their shape-shifting, so they would always just have random features, like some days they'd have a wing, some days they'd have 2 horns, 1 horn, sometimes they'd have a tail, sometimes they wouldn't. So if you see the features changing from these young designs, then that's why. And then this is their adopted father, Rurik. They were adopted by a dwarf after they were abandoned by their mother. So this was me trying to draw them together. I really, really like how this design turned out, because this was the first time where I didn't try to make a design circular, because all of my other designs have been very circular, very oval shaped. So what I tried to do, I tried to make his design almost entirely square, and very happy with this. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, Nilin was the start of me figuring out that I didn't have to do perfect circles for all of my character designs, because as you can see before, all of my other character designs, they had this perfect circle shape, but Nilin has more of an oval. So when I drew this face, I was like, I like this. I want to keep doing this because I think it's really cool. And so yes, this was me experimenting with shapes, like what do I want this character to look like. Some more Nilin. I really like this one. This is adorable. And this was the first time in this art style that I drew a character with their eyes closed, so I really liked how that turned out. I like the little teeth. This is a funny story. So this came from Ginger Ninja OWO. They posted a video about an art style challenge they created where you try and draw your OC or your character spelling out their own name with their body, and you need to take into consideration how would they react to such a thing. Would they have necessary props, or how would they use that skill? So I tried this with 3 of my characters, Edith, Keith, and Natalie, or also goes by Nat. Keith has no problem making an ass out of himself and willingly jumps into it, and as you can see here, has no problem contorting his body into all sorts of ridiculous shapes just to put on a show. Edith is more classical, she's more subdued, so I drew her in a bunch of ballet-inspired poses. Like this is, I think, first position, but don't quote me on that. I haven't done ballet since I was like 8. And then Nat is just incredibly bored and pissed off by the whole thing, so she's just constantly flipping off everyone and putting in as little effort as humanly possible. And this was some more Nilin character brainstorming. This was, I imagined, they disguised themselves as an elf and went and found their mother, and she's saying, oh, you look so much like him, that being their changeling father. And then this is where it all goes downhill, and pretty much most of the rest of this sketchbook is D&D obsession. So I had a thought, what if I took these characters that I created on holiday, what if I took them and drew them as if they were in D&D? And so I came up with these characters designs, this character spread. I love them so much, and this was me using the different head shapes to my advantage, so this really shows that Harper is a much skinnier, more slender character in comparison to Rosemary and Antonio, and I really like these designs, and I was like, I love these designs, I want to continue drawing them, what can I do with that? And so I drew a lot more of their character dynamic, their sort of found family. I went through each sort of pairing. There's Rosemary and Antonio, and she is having fun putting some flowers in his hair, and he is not. And I really liked this sort of design for the horns because I thought they were smaller than what I did on the previous page. And this is Rosemary and Harper. In my D&D headcanon, they are wives, so I tried to draw their dynamic where they're just harassing each other constantly, and it's hilarious. And then this was a quick, messy sketch, and I found this to be very liberating because it felt like I can still make something fun, but I don't have to make it perfectly polished. So I was really excited about doing this, and it's Antonio insisting he is not cute, but Harper playfully disagreeing. And then, so this requires some context. So in my backstory for this character, Antonio, in the D&D universe, he was part of a cult, and then his dad died, and he tried to pray to the god of the cult to resurrect his dad, but it backfired and his dad took over his body. So I tried to draw that sort of initial moment of impact when the possession first happened. So now Antonio just has the ghost of his dad periodically taking over his body every once in a while. And this was me really trying to figure out the leg shape. I had a lot of issues because I kept forgetting where the joints were meant to go, so I had to look at some reference images. And this is me drawing my dynamic. Rosemary is a scary dog. I'll come back to this idea later. And yeah, this was me just really figuring out what I wanted to do with their designs and their outfits. I do end up changing Antonio's outfit later, but for some reason I was very set on this vest, even though it does not make sense for his character. And more D&D, more of my D&D children, they are never... The entire rest of the sketchbook is mostly just them, so I hope you're interested. This was me trying to figure out Rosemary and Harper's dynamic. Once again, just harassing each other constantly, and I love it. And that was me imagining what their first kiss was like, sort of just springing up out of the blue and Harper just saying, just do it again. And then this is the moment that Harper and Rosemary officially adopt Antonio, and they say you could be Antonio Ximena Starlight, which is a combination of their names, so he's now their adopted son. And I really like how this turned out, and I ended up inking this and putting it on my Instagram, so if you want to see that, that's where that is. So this, a little break from the D&D characters. If you're tired of them, we will get back to them. This was me trying to redesign some characters I came up with a long time ago, like a long time ago. I was like 12. There were superhero characters, and they were very baby's first comic. This was for a comic I made when I was around 12. And so I wanted to redesign the characters, redesign their outfits. I'm really happy with how a lot of these turned out. For this character, I was looking at a lot of Chinese ballet because it felt very mystical as opposed to very stuffy, sort of structured, more Western ballerina types. It felt more flowy, more ease of movement. It would feel easier to move in, which is essential for a superhero. And this design for Thea, this came from looking at a lot of superheroes from the 80s, a lot of glimmer, and there's this one specific ABBA outfit, I might put it on screen, but that really inspired this, and I was really happy with this. And this is my spread that I call, I don't know what to draw, so I'm just gonna draw random shit. This was me trying to figure out what hands in my style look like, because I had really been struggling with hands, so I just drew a bunch of them, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I really like a lot of the expressions that I managed to create with this, just because I find they're so dynamic and I really enjoy them. So, and then this random shit. There's nothing really to go over except this baby bird looks like he's about to explode, and I like drawing fat birds. And then some more face practice. This was just, I don't know what to draw, so I'm just gonna draw this. Moving on. And this is one of the only other drawings of Twinkle and Lime, these little cat characters that have mostly been for me and my best friend, but I wanted to draw them as if they were going to university because me and my IRL best friend who inspired this other cat are going to university soon. Not together, unfortunately, but so to vent my sadness about that, I drew these two going to university together. And if you don't know me and this friend who inspired this character, this is very spot on to how we would actually dress, and how we would actually act. And I even based these coffee orders on what we would actually order, and these subjects on what we are actually studying. And this was me trying to draw them with hair. I'm not sure if I like it. So this is really interesting and exciting. You can hear in my voice I'm really excited to talk about it. These characters are the characters for a animated series that I am planning to one day make, and that I'm really excited about making, and I wish I'd drawn more concept art of it, but it's always sort of in the back of my head. It's about these two best friends, Lucas and Harriet, sort of figuring out life, and it follows them from when they're kids to when they're adults, and sort of how their friendship sort of evolves. And so I really like these characters, and I hadn't drawn these characters in months, like literal months, so I wanted to figure out what did they look like in this new style. And Harriet was pretty easy to figure out. It took like 3 drawings for me to figure out her main design. But Lucas was a lot harder because I knew I wanted to do this sort of curly hair with undercut, but I was struggling as to how to make that look good from all angles, because if I'm not drawing the side that has the undercut, it tends to look a bit awkward like this, or even just drawing it side on can be a bit awkward. So I was just figuring out how that looked. This is some outfit ideas. This is me drawing them fully formed. I love this illustration. I also put this on I think I put this on my Instagram. I might not have, I don't know, I don't remember. Editor Emily, say if I did. But I am really happy with how this looks. I love how they look to my style. I love this posing. Her legs did take a bit of time to figure out, but I like this. So, we're back in the D&D hell that I have found myself in. So, all of the remaining pages in the sketchbook have been drawn in the past week. That is how obsessed I am with these characters. So this was me figuring out, hey, what if I drew these characters as if they were in D&D? And so this was the very basic character designs. They will change throughout the course of it. But I wanted to address something. I did not copy Karlach from Baldur's Gate with this tiefling barbarian who wields a battle axe. I did not even know that Baldur's Gate existed until after I drew these drawings. Literally 2 days after I came up with this character, I figured out that Karlach existed, and I was like, oh god, I accidentally copied her. So that was not intentional, but I just felt that a tiefling barbarian fit this character, and Lucas is a half-elf wizard because he's a nerd. And then this is me trying to figure out their characters. I drew some character information for Harriet. I've called her Etta in this AU, and I drew her with this battle axe. It's a bit wonky because I don't like using rules, but I was trying to figure out what her horns looked like because I'd drawn her with these very blunt horns, which I didn't particularly like, and so I was trying with these sort of, they almost remind me of a horned lizard, which I love horned lizards, so that's why I like this, and I really like this pose. This is me figuring out her final outfit, because this one felt just, something was off, so I tried drawing her with this one, and I like it a lot more. I like the earrings, because I gave her this triple helix piercing in my other ones, but something about that didn't feel right, and when I figured out I wanted her to be a pirate, that very much influenced the rest of this outfit. And so this is my canon explanation as to how they met, in that Harriet ransacked Lucas's home, and for anything that was valuable, she's saying, hand over your goods, and he is trying to get her out of his house, and so he pretends that he is a legendary adventurer and he knows where there is far more gold than she ever knows what to do with, and so he uses that as an excuse to get her out of his home, but she just says, okay, then show me. So that's how these two become a pair, and I really like these illustrations. They're a lot of fun. This was me figuring out Lucas, and I settled on his design in this because I didn't particularly like this one. I felt it felt too commoner, whereas the character I imagined in this felt much more prissy and uptight. So I also changed his hairstyle. I gave him this weird ponytail, which I think fits, and these tiny little glasses. And I love how different they look and how they look different, but they still look like a pair. And then, so I thought, hey, what if I took these new characters D&D characters that I created, and combined them with my old D&D characters that I created, and I made them into a party. And then this was just far more brainworms. And so this was a fun little exercise I tried, where I tried to simplify each character down to one facial expression. If I had to pick one facial expression that summarized their personality, what would it be? And this is what I came up with, and I'm really happy with this. And then this is a little moment I imagined because I started watching The Legend of Vox Machina. I have not finished it yet, don't come at me. And I tried to reimagine the opening scene where Vox Machina are thrown out of the tavern for fighting, as if it was this party. And so my explanation is that Harriet started a massive fight and these guys got involved in it, so vials have been broken, someone threw an ale at Antonio, and I don't exactly know what happened to Lucas. He probably just got some food thrown on him. But I really like this. I think it's cute. And this was me drawing Rosemary and Harper again, because I love my wives. They're adorable. And this was one of my favourite things I've ever drawn in this sketchbook, is Rosemary using her scary dog privilege to walk around at night, and then Harper is the scary dog. They're cute. It's like, hurt my elf and you die, and there's her elf. There's her elf. They're just cute. I love them. And this is the last page. I drew this today, actually, because I was bored again. That is what most of this happened. This was me thinking I want to draw Harriet and Lucas some more and figure out what they are like in this universe. And I figured out that Lucas's subclass of wizardry is gravitagy, meaning he can alter gravity and make items lighter or heavier. And so I drew the scene where he's annoyed at Harriet, so he makes her axe fly, and he just says, "You said you wanted it lighter." And this was a scene I imagined where Lucas is coming up with a bunch of intricate and smart ways to get past a guard, but Harriet just says, "Hey, whilst you were being a nerd, I already killed him." This is funny. This was just me trying to draw, like, out of movie levels of simplicity. And this is a cute little scene I drew with the family together, where Rosemary made tea, and she wants to make sure that everyone likes it. So, they're two horned members of the party. And with that, the sketchbook tour is done! I have been having so much fun with my art lately, and I just wanted to show it off. It's been such a fun ride figuring out this art style and figuring out what I like about it. And so, thank you for watching. If you've watched all the way through, we are now at 34 minutes. Jesus Christ. I'll hopefully try to edit that down. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and go look at my art on Instagram. Bye!